Alright, so this is vlog 12 for Project 12, and today I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. The first, what we did on Tuesday in the lecture, what we did on Thursday with the VA presentations, and then finally the counterfactual identity project that we did through the course of this week. So, first of all, on Tuesday in the lecture, we talked about the project of counterfactual identity, and a couple of things stuck out to me the most. And the two things that I kind of remember the most were the scene from the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and then also the YouTube video we saw about the lip syncing to the song. So the first thing I want to talk about is the scene from the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio he's a poor boy who dresses up as a wealthy businessman, and he tries to fool others in thinking that he's wealthy and he has a lot of power. And then the other woman, I forgot her name, dresses up as a model. So she dresses up as like she's a supermodel for a magazine when she's really a prostitute. And I thought the scene was really interesting and funny at the same time, because there's these two people posing as something they're not, and they're both passing each other, and they both see each other as a different person. And I thought it was a little crazy how easy it was for them to kind of dress up and just act, and how easy it is for someone else to think you're somebody you're not. And so that, along with the YouTube web sensation about the lip syncing movie with all the people of the city, I thought both of those combined, it kind of shows you what you can do with counterfactual identity. You can use it in small ways and kind of get people to think someone you're not, or just create a whole nother identity for yourself to start anew. And then as we saw in the YouTube video, you can bring it to a whole new level where you have a bunch of people taking part in one idea, and it kind of makes it a little more fun and creative. And so both of these combined kind of made me even more excited for this week's project of counterfactual identity. Okay, so on Thursday we went over the VA presentations for two groups, and looking at these groups, I thought they did a really great job on their presentations. The one that I thought was pretty spectacular was the flower one, where they made the big old vase with the flowers sticking out in the Second Life project. And I mean, both of the groups did a great job, and the facts were pretty interesting and whatnot, but I thought the Second Life projects were pretty good. They did a great job what they were doing, and I was a little afraid, like, oh man, I don't know if ours is gonna keep up with theirs, but hopefully everything will go fine. So yeah, and then now finally moving on to the last point, the counterfactual identity project. So I was already a little interested in this at first, and then going over in the lecture made me even more excited to get started with this. So the counterfactual identity project, it made me, like, right when we started explaining what it was, a bunch of ideas popped in my head, like, oh, what should I do, who should I be? I could be anybody I want to. I can live somebody else's life that I've always dreamed of, and so all these ideas of who I could be started popping into my head. And it really took me a long time to kind of figure out what I wanted to be, like who I wanted to take the place of. And it was really difficult because of course everyone has many dreams, and I've had like many times where, like, oh, I wish I could have done this, or I wish I could have done that. And it really lets you think about where you would be at if you made different life choices. But eventually I ended up choosing, so my second identity is a man named Brian Taylor. He's a 23-year-old, so he's 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 kind of similar to myself. I didn't want to derive too far away, but he's built of the same ethnicity, um, similar features. His name's Brian Taylor. He's 23 years old. But the difference is that in high school and in college, he he um, he he was more of a jock, I would say. So he played a lot of sports. He liked to lift weights and whatnot. Still was pretty smart. So he had the best of both worlds. So he was a smart guy, and he's also athletic. So, and then instead of finding a career like most people do right out of college, he took the route of joining the military and going to officer training, officer school. And so now he's enlisted in the Air Force and training to be an officer or whatnot. And so, where I came up with this identity is, one of my biggest dreams was always to go to the military, to enlist, whether it be, the Air Force, the Navy, whatnot. But when I was little, I was always, set on joining the military. I thought it was a really interesting career, and I was always fascinated by listening to stories about the military. So that was really my first life choice. But, things changed. So going through high school, wasn't the athletic type, so that's why I wanted to make this person athletic, to see how it would change. I've always wanted to be the sports player. And so yeah, the military, I've always wanted to join the military, but I feel like in this lifetime it probably won't happen. I focused on my grades, or tried to at least, and then now I'm here in the computer science major, which is probably completely opposite from being athletic and joining the military. So I feel like it's kind of a complete opposite of me. And then I also had him, so he's a jock, athletic man. Joined the military. He went to UC Santa Barbara, which is kind of a school I was thinking about, but I never got around to applying to it. So I feel like, all the choices I made for him were things small, like if I'd made small changes in my life, I might be where he is now. But I feel that it's kind of fantasy, so I feel like I can enter this identity as a what if my life was like completely flipped. And then so he's also in a fraternity, and he was living it up and whatnot, while I kind of study, and I like to have fun as well, but he's a little bit more different than I am. And maybe it kind of, doing this project as well, like living in this person, this Brian, it kind of made me think about my life and what kind of changes I can make to my life to make it better or worse or whatnot. So you never know, maybe I was getting to thinking around, maybe I'll make some big life changes that will kind of push me towards this new identity. Maybe not completely change myself to be like him, but maybe make small changes that'll make me and him similar, because maybe that'll make me a little bit more happy, because I made him as kind of like a what if scenario, and I don't know, kind of, in my opinion, perfect. Not really perfect, but it's hard to explain. But I feel like this project really made me think about my life and changes that I can make to my life, and what ifs, a lot of what ifs. So maybe this will really help me change my life. It will make me kind of step outside my comfort zone when it comes to making big decisions. So really, this was a very, very deep project for me, and I think it was really, really interesting. And I'm not just gonna stop here. Just making the Facebook page, I was a little skeptical on like how fun it would be or whatnot, but when I actually started making the page and I was getting into the information, it was really interesting, because it made me think about, these are the small details. What do I want to make him like? What do I want to make this character like? And so overall, it was a great project.